Now we've already created the new search page, but I want to work on some stuff over here on the left to get the sidebar with some links, but also we want to make those links work. When they search the news and they get a link, we want to make sure it actually works. So we're going to begin with this file called new URL that we have referenced but not yet created. And you can see in here I've just got typical HTML stuff at the top, and in my PHP I've included in the main line the connect PHP, and I've got the connection going, but nothing else so far. That's a pretty standard start to a file. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is get what I'm calling a referrer, HTTP underscore referrer. That's the server side variable, and it's the page that referred you to this page. So it's the page you came from. Now, one of the reasons to look at this is we want to make sure that anyone hacking from the outside doesn't have access to this page. I'm only going to allow the new URL page to be used if the referring page is the correct one. Now, I'm going to also have a URL that's what we are sending as part of our hyperlink. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say if the string position of the referrer newsearch.php triple equals false. Now let me explain what that really means. It's looking for the position of the newsearch.php in the referrer variable. So as long as the referrer variable has that, it's going to be true. But if it's false, now why triple equals? Well, let's just remember that a single equal is an assignment statement. A double equal is a comparison statement, but only tests whether both sides of the comparison contain the same value. So if you had something like the number 10 and a text that is 10, they both have the same value, even though they're of different data types. So the identical operator is the triple equals, and that tests not only whether both sides of the comparison contain the same value, but it also tests whether or not they're of the same data type. So if this string position, string pos, if that function returns false, then the echo invalid request and exit, it'll stop. So if it doesn't have newsearch.php as part of the referring string, then it will give an error message. Now in the event we get past that, it's going to say record hit with the URL, with the ID, the get ID, and it's going to send that, let's just take a look at the record hit. So it needs the ID, it gets today's date, it gets today's time, it gets the IP address from the remote address, that's the client, and then insert into link hits, so you already have to have that table created, news ID, the date, the time, the IP address, those four things, which three of them we just got here, the fourth one we submitted as a parameter. We prepare the statement, we bind the parameters. Notice ID is an integer, the other three are strings, and then I execute the statement, and that's it. Close. Now back to here. After I've recorded that ID was being used, I recorded the hit to that link, then I create a little script right here, JavaScript. What's inside the JavaScript? Window.location equals URL. So it's going to redirect the current window to whatever the URL is. Now in the sidebar, I've already got my menu CSS and my menu already set up here. But what I want to set up now is a couple other things. First of all, we're going to see if the current directory is equal to public HTML. If it is, I'm going to have an unordered list. It's going to have link items like index for the home and the favorite pet results. We've had that before, and the favorite survey. And then HR, I put that there. That's a horizontal line. And then another unordered list. That's where I've got new search and the getting into the office area, office use only. But if the current directory is office, so it depends on what directory you're in as to what menus are going to show here or what items are going to show. Here's an unordered list that just has the office home and the website home. So when we get to the new search page, we can see that we can click on that. We'll type in something like Trump as an example. Click search. We find there's one news item that has that. And when I click on that news item now, you can see that, well, you can't see down here when I highlight over it, but when I click on it, it'll automatically redirect my page to there. When it comes to my link hits, you see I've got some hits going in there, the news items that I've looked at. So it's recording every hit that I take, every news item. Now we've got one little change we need to make. Sometimes getting the new URL may come not from the newssearch.php, but just from the standard index.php when we have the latest news. So we got to go back to that file where we had string pos of the $refer news search triple equals false. We're going to expand that out and add another possibility. The only way it's going to be the invalid request is if it doesn't have news search and it doesn't have, now I could have put index.php, but a hacker might call their file index.php. So instead I have the account name here, or it could be the web address if you're using your own .com. So by doing that, if it doesn't have that name and it doesn't have news search, then it's an invalid request. Obviously you have to change that to your own account name.